At the hospital, Tracy meets with Terry, who notes it's Tracy's birthday today and asks if she has plans. Tracy doesn't. Terry says she sees no concerns in her blood work, but she does look a bit pale. Tracy thinks it's old age and the cold winter, but she has been lethargic lately. Terry can't say what that later is about, but she could arrange for her to talk to Kevin. Tracy insists she doesn't need a shrink, she has a full and busy life. However, if she's down at times, it is grief from losing her husband. Terry understands, and Tracy says she's getting through it in her own way. Terry again says her numbers are good, so maybe just get out and be more active. She needs to keep her body moving and interacting with people. Tracy says she'll keep her advice in mind. In Heather's room, Portia notes Heather isn't in her restraints. Heather says maybe she lost weight during the surgery and they just slipped off. Portia brings the guard and a nurse in to put Heather back in her restraints. Kevin meets with Heather later. He begins with the standard psych evaluation questions about where she is and the day it is. She knows everyone thinks she's dumb, but she's not, and the horrible things she did was because it felt like her blood was on fire. The only way to put the fire out was to do something crazy. She's glad her hip is better, and now when she goes back to prison, she'll be able to pace the yard. Kevin asks if he told her that she was free to go wherever. Where would she go? Heather says she put flowers on Esmond's grave. But then she remembers she isn't in it, so she'd give them to Sasha, whose husband she killed. She says if Ryan had a will and left her something, which he didn't, but if he did, she'd buy a tiny little house with a yard for Ace. Heather cries why torture herself with this and things that are impossible. Kevin feels this was enough for today and he'll be back. Kevin speaks with Portia in the hall about Heather and has seen a change in her. The difference since her surgery is striking. Portia suggests she tell it to someone who didn't almost lose her daughter to Heather. Tracy meets with Laura and Alexis in her office. Laura needs Terry to sign off on a contract to put city employees on the GH health plan. Terry is impressed that she's looking after the health of the city workers. Terry signs off, and Alexis asks for a comment for the paper. Terry isn't big on public relations. Alexis drafted something up for her to sign off on, but the statement seems to hit Terry wrong. Terry says on second thought, she'll have the hospital PR team draft something. Alexis and Laura later run into Kevin and tell him the contracts have been signed, sealed, and delivered. Kevin asks if Laura is heading home, but Laura thinks she should go visit Heather. He tells her to find him after. Kevin takes a moment to speak with Alexis and ask for a legal opinion. She can't advise him legally but can offer advice as someone who reads a lot. Kevin speaks in hypotheticals about Heather's issues. He tries to hide who he's talking about, but Alexis sees through him. He explains about the cobalt poisoning and she notes there is a way to have the case and trial re-examined on a post-conviction clause. Portia interrupts, having overheard, and hopes they aren't considering releasing Heather. Laura sits with Heather and they talk about Ace. Heather wonders if he'll call Laura mom or grandma. Laura hasn't thought about it, and they've got time before they get there. Heather wonders what his first words will be and how she thought that about Esmond too. She becomes emotional. Laura rejoins Kevin, Alexis, and Portia as Portia is still ranting about Heather. Laura feels Heather has changed, and Portia exclaims she's pulled the wool over all their eyes. Alexis speaks, but Portia cuts her off yelling she doesn't practice law anymore and is understanding why she got disbarred. She doesn't care how nice or changed Heather seems, they haven't spent that much time with her, so trust the family she's harmed. Portia vows if they try and overturn Heather's conviction that she'll fight them with everything she has. Blaze arrives and runs into Christina. She asks about Dante, and Christina says he's doing better. Blaze brings up deception, and she didn't want her to think she was keeping it from her. She'd like to explain. They find a seat, and Blaze is sorry how Christina found out how she did. She explains she was approached by deception before, but nothing came of it, so she didn't have expectations this time either. Then it all just happened so fast. Christina gets it, and it will really broaden her demographic. Blaze gets the music world, just not the fashion and beauty world. Christina says she'll have Maxie, who is great. Blaze just worries she won't fit in with what people think of as hot, pretty, and trendy. To keep her private life Christina private, says and asks if that will be a problem. Christina says as long as they can be their authentic selves, that things will be fine. Blaze offers to blow up the deal for Christina as being happy is the most important thing to her, and Christina makes her happy. Christina is touched. At the Quartermain stables, Olivia calls Cody's phone, but he's stepped out and left his phone on the table. Sasha sees Olivia calling, answers and explains Cody isn't here and offers to take a message. Olivia tells her that Dante is being discharged, and Sasha says she'll let Cody know. Olivia says it's Tracy's birthday, and she was going to bake a cake, but with Dante coming home she's got a lot going on. Olivia plans on picking up a cake, but asks Sasha if she could start a dinner she can take to Dante, Sam, and the kids. She offers to talk Sasha through it. After returning from the house, Cody is back, and Sasha tells him about the call from Olivia. He grabs her, hugs her, and calls out, "Woo-hoo." He apologizes about getting his sweat all over her, but is thrilled that Dante is coming home. He asks if Olivia said anything else. Sasha explains she wanted her to start cooking chicken parm, but the chicken is spoiled, so she'll find something else to make. He says she's a good friend, but she says Dante helped him rescue her, so this is the least she can do. He was talking about himself. He appreciates her doing this for Dante. She says she appreciates Cody too. Sasha heads back to the house to cook, and Cody gives the horse a bath and takes off his soaked shirt after. Tracy arrives to have a word, is flustered by a shirtless Cody, and adds she'd like to have a word with him, preferably clothed. He puts on a shirt and asks how he can help her. Tracy has been reminded she enjoys riding, but hasn't ridden any of the horses they have, so she needs one with a sweet temper and an easy gait. They find her a horse, and Tracy explains she plans to ride a few times a week. He thinks that will be great for her. Sasha returns and isn't used to seeing Tracy here. Tracy is planning to get back in the saddle. Tracy asks if Sasha's been spending her time here. Sasha likes horses and asked Cody to put her to work in her spare time. Tracy is sorry things didn't work out for her at Deception, and Sasha thanks her for going to bat for her. Tracy heads out, and Olivia appears with a dish and asks what this is. Sasha explains it's shepherd's pie, and the chicken was bad. Olivia knows what it is and asks who made it. Sasha reveals she did, and Olivia says it looks amazing, and Dante and Sam probably will love something different than her standard Italian food. Sasha says Brando always liked it. Olivia zips off with the food, and Cody says she's racking up the hidden talents points and wonders what's next. She says she's pretty good at ice fishing. He wants to see that, so she tells him to stick around. Tracy goes into the kitchen and finds a store-bought birthday cake for her and exclaims, "Oh good Lord," and laughs. At Bobby's, Joss introduces Felicia to Hunter, who is the new manager. Suddenly Curtis, using a cane, walks in with Trina, and everyone applauds. Trina and Curtis get a table, and Felicia compliments on Curtis' progress before getting back to the hospital. He wasn't expecting this kind of a welcome, but Trina says he did more than beat the odds and deserved it. Joss joins them and says PCU is badgering her about a new roommate. Trina doesn't know what she's going to do about the fall. Curtis says she has time to decide, and Joss offers to hold out on housing for her. Dex arrives, and Joss tries to ignore him. Trina asks if she's going to talk to him. Joss won't, and she won't serve him with her. Curtis asks what Bobby would think about that, so Joss says she'll have Hunter wait on him. Joss decides to act like a grown-up and waits on Dex, who asks for a coffee and a grilled cheese. When she returns with coffee, she finds he has an employment packet for the PCPD. She says this is a bad idea and makes him more of a target for Sonny. He says they can't all be doctors. Joss makes a face, and he asks if something is wrong at school. She explains that school is fine, but she's not sure if medicine is right for her. She saw what it did to Adam, and how hard Trina's mom works, and how patients aren't always grateful. He asks, patients like Cyrus Renault? She scoffs and walks off. Curtis and Trina continue to talk, but Curtis notes she's a little quiet. Trina admits she came here with Spencer a lot, and she knows it sounds ridiculous, but she can't even enjoy lunch with her dad these days. He thinks she sounds like someone with a broken heart. He says their situations aren't the same, but getting over Spencer will take patience and time, and broken hearts do mend just like bones do. He promises her she will love again, and will be loved again, as there is no one on this planet more deserving of love than her.